right now on KGW News.
These homeless camps, as I've said on many occasions, represent nothing short of a humanitarian catastrophe.
Tonight, why some are blasting a proposed solution from Portland's leaders as inhumane.
This ordinance is the wrong thing to do.
Plus, deadly shooting outside of Vancouver Safeway.
Definitely had a weapon in his hand, pointing it at police.
As we learn more about the moments before 3 officers and 1 deputy pulled the trigger. And later,
there's a real stigma among people reporting events.
Metallic orbs and bright lights in the sky. New revelations from NASA about the out-of-this-world encounters that can't be explained. Good evening, and we begin with Portland's latest attempt to tackle its homeless crisis. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. The proposal includes a ban on daytime camping, plus strengthens rules and penalties, a potentially polarizing move that had more than 170 people ready to give council their opinions before a vote. Alma McCarty was in that meeting. Alma, we're talking some 5 hours of testimony. What'd you hear?
Well, David, controversial indeed. If passed, camping from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. would be prohibited. Camping in certain places would be prohibited. Doing certain things at campsites also prohibited. Some see this potential ban as dangerous, further destabilizing a vulnerable population. Others say the city must do something, and this is a step.
Armed with signs reading "house keys, not handcuffs," and "let people exist," opponents of Mayor Ted Wheeler's daytime camping ban voiced frustration and fear outside City Hall.
Let's show that we matter!
And in council chambers.
What Ted Wheeler is proposing is inhumane, it's dehumanizing, and it will result in violence and death. Like, people will die if this ban passes.
This is an attempt to criminalize homelessness, and instead of jailing homeless people, that money could be better spent working to provide adequate housing for a fraction of the cost.
Asking homeless Portlanders, 60% of whom live with 1 or more disabilities, to carry their homes on their backs for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, will heighten mental and physical distress.
We have women, we have children that are houseless, that to ask them to go to sleep at night is totally unrealistic.
Enforcement of the ban, which also prohibits camping at all times on sidewalks, near schools, and in high crash corridors, would be phased in. More than 3 violations could result in fines or jail time.
Since announcing these changes, our office has received overwhelming positive support for this proposal. These changes are critical. You may not agree, and that's fine.
Several speakers in favor of the proposed ordinance also testified, grateful for the council's consideration.
I'm begging you, please ban unsanctioned camping in Portland and stop the horrific crime wave that I am certain has affected you and some of your personal acquaintances.
We absolutely cannot allow this situation to continue. We cannot allow people to keep refusing help.
I believe our community's intentions have been in the right place by prioritizing compassion for those who find themselves on our street. However, I also believe that our community has been taken advantage of by a significant number of people that do not want shelter, treatment, or the like, and merely want to live consequence-free on our streets.
Mayor Wheeler noting at the end of a nearly 5-hour council meeting, despite visceral disagreement, there's common ground. A need to address core issues of housing, mental and behavioral health, and addiction.
I think on the things where we agree, I wish we could be better coordinated to continue to fight for those services where I heard just broad consensus.
City Council adjourned just after 8 p.m. The ordinance moves now to a second reading. It's not clear yet when they'll vote.
Alma McCarty in the newsroom. Thank you, Alma. Let's get to new information now on a deadly police shooting in Vancouver, with witnesses telling us they heard more than a dozen shots fired. We brought you this last night as breaking news at 11. Investigators say this began around 5:30 Tuesday evening when a detective spotted an armed robbery suspect driving. That detective then called for backup and followed the suspect to the Safeway at Mill Plain and Andreessen. The man eventually came out of the store, saw law enforcement, and shot at them, according to investigators. 3 Vancouver police officers and 1 Clark County Sheriff's deputy returned fire, killing that suspect. The manager of a dispensary nearby told us what his security cameras captured.
kind of showed him reaching up with his arm, definitely had a weapon in his hand, pointing it at police, and then from there they took action, and we're pretty thankful for that.
The officers and deputy involved in the shooting are now on paid leave, which is standard protocol. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, including what the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office is calling a suspicious death near Eagle Creek. Back on May 7th, deputies say a man fishing found the body of a woman later identified as 22-year-old Ashley Real. They are asking anyone who spotted anything suspicious in the area around Southeast Judd Road between the end of March and beginning of May to come forward. In Gresham, police say they arrested 2 teenagers wanted in a deadly drive-by shooting in Washington. Police say the teens pulled up to a car at a stoplight in Auburn, that's near Seattle, yesterday morning and started shooting. A passenger in the other vehicle died. Across Oregon, defendants charged with first-degree bias crimes will no longer be permitted to walk out of jail the same day. Oregon's Chief Justice signing an order requiring suspects in the most serious racially motivated attacks be held in jail, at least until they're arraigned before a judge. This follows a racially motivated attack last summer against a family of Japanese descent on Portland's East Bank Esplanade. The suspect in that case was released the same day. Authorities later linked him to at least 3 other racist attacks. And in the nation's capital, the House has passed a bill to suspend the debt limit. Around 70 House Republicans voted against the measure because it doesn't cut spending deeply enough. Just over 40 Democrats also voted against it, but it passed. It's now off to the Senate. Now, keep in mind, lawmakers have just 5 days left to send the bill to the president or risk the country defaulting on its debt. And one part of that proposal deals with people who get food assistance, also known as SNAP recipients, with changes that mean those in their early 50s would now be required to work or volunteer for 80 hours a month in order to qualify. Thomas Schultz takes a look at the impact on a move that could affect thousands of people.
There are certainly many families on our program that receive SNAP benefits, and so that might affect them pretty dramatically.
Some childless adults could be affected by a debt limit agreement in Washington. Currently, adults 18 to 49 without children and without mental or physical conditions are required to spend 80 hours a month working or volunteering to qualify for SNAP. But that may soon include SNAP beneficiaries between 50 to 54 years old, which would impact a large number of people. USDA data shows almost 730,000 Oregonians are recipients of SNAP as of February of this year. The numbers are even bigger in Washington, where 904,000 people utilize the program.
If an individual doesn't have the capacity to be able to work or volunteer for those 80 hours, that could alter their life course pretty significantly.
Andrew Roulette is the operations manager at Birch Community Services, a Gresham nonprofit organization. Birch serves as a food bank and financial consultant for families trying to get back on their feet. He says proposals like this one create an umbrella solution for a problem that should be solved on an individual level.
You know, SNAP, for example, it's really kind of a blanket solution, and it doesn't have the ability per se to be as dynamic and really address each individual situation.
USDA data shows hundreds of thousands of Oregonians have joined SNAP in the past 5 years. More than 50,000 Washington residents have joined in the last year alone, and those benefits could be life-altering. The average person receives $254 a month in benefits. Households get around $500 a month.
I'm sure for some families and individuals in that age group, that could be very cumbersome. For others, you know, it might just work out perfectly.
Thomas Schultz reporting there. The USDA says if people do not fulfill these work requirements, they will lose SNAP benefits after 3 months. Then they must meet work requirements for a 30-day period to re-enroll in SNAP.